Perfect. That's done. This to be post is done. All right. So now y'all just gotta resend this out to everybody. Um, post is done. All right. So now y'all just gotta resend this out to everybody. That's funny. I keep forgetting that it's live. All right. What happened?
Where's your bathroom located?
Um, all the way around.
You know you came in the elevator. Instead of making a left, you go right. Almost. I'm just running to the bathroom. Outside to the right. Go around where the elevator is.
Yoan, you want to come help me take out?
Hey, can I have your attention, please, everybody? Hello. Okay, I know we've been waiting, some of us been waiting for a while. And you know what they say about the next day, lines of night and midnight. So, well, we're gonna get started now, before people get to the other room. Run a short
No, I need this battery. Sit down.
You said working. On the side? You gonna tell me this thing has died? No.
Sarah, turn off the light, please. Where's the remote? Where's the remote?
Here.
Mine's downstairs.
Turn the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have sufficient chairs, all right? Ah,
Oh, what's that?
Why is this not working? Do anybody know how to work this? Mine's downstairs. I won't have enough time to go get it. Get that thing to work.
First you gotta make sure there's a battery. Okay, you got
has the battery been in here all this time?
Mm.
Oh,
where's the,
It's in the back.
okay,
Is it
that's
red?
back there.
Is it red?
No.
If it's not there, it's not. It's not.
No, it's red.
Yeah.
No, it's red.
No, it came off. Gosh, right now.
Oh. Well, you have to sit there and cook it.
Yeah, I did.
Somebody has to sit there and cook it, and somebody sits there.
So now it's
Every time he needs to change screen, touches foot. Already? Almost. We're not getting the clicker to work. Well, then somebody can.
Yeah, I can
stand here.
Back in that. Back in that.
Have a sit down. Just touches here.
Battery might have strong.
Hold on. I'll fix that.
The red light is kind of weak.
No light?
It's on, so it looks kind of weak.
I think that's the problem. I think this was.
In the video, that battery. We just do press enter, keep it.
Yeah. Okay. Try now. Press down.
That one takes it to the next page.
Now this is where.
Enter. Pressing enter does it work?
It's not finished loading yet.
Does the presentation work without this? I mean, can we just press enter and
Yes, I'm trying to make sure it can.
it's not going to the next page?
Is it the computer?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna try another computer.
Yeah. Who else laptop have HDMI?
HDMI. Apple's maybe.
It's HDMI.
HDMI is the system that it's running on. It's like VGA. The Apple over there has VGA. This is HDMI. It's a different plug.
So
Different plug-in.
I don't have mine does.
You just want to go to the next slide.
You wanna see if mine does?
I'll tell you if it does. I don't think it does.
Okay, we come in with my computer, but we have to have the plug ready to plug it in. It has no battery power.
I think I just fixed the problem. How much minute we have on that video? 2 minutes?
About 2 minutes, the way it sounded.
Okay.
Here comes Jerry with his, he's plug it in. Before we guys.
There's a plug in the back here. Right back of this. And it's on the
Behind this?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what I knocked down.
You can have that platform.
Is it on? Yeah.
Hit the power button. See if it comes on.
There goes HDMI. It's on this platform. It's on the it's on the WFG.
Is it booting?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's not booting up from the beginning, but
You're live.
Yo, it's like almost done. Actually, it's done.
no.
no, just escape. Just turn the TV off or escape and turn the volume.
Oh, you got a mirror too. You got also a mirror too there for the HDMI.
Yeah, HDMI is working.
Yeah. Plug the thing first.
You should get it. let's see.
I'll be there.
It's not on the screen.
We can't get to work. Is it? We might have to go another room.
Yeah, no, here.
He's got it here, but we're not connected.
I'm not getting it on the screen.
Okay.
It's done. How do I go to your system to mirror, like, if you was to have the VJ, how you set it up from there?
I have no idea. You
All
just changed
One
that.
minute. Take it over.
What are you doing?
Get it to mirror onto here. It's Windows. It's probably the same thing as your Surface. This is already in there? Yeah, the HDMI is already connected. So why is it just popping up? It was just pop up. You should probably go into the settings and mirror. That's crazy. It was just pop. Yeah, that's the wait. Where's it? Where's the setting? Okay.
They just did this thing. I don't understand that. So much videos.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Research. Research. Remote test. Yeah, I'm trying to get here early just in case. Where is? This is the corridor here for search.
You got it up here? It sounds that way.
Waiting for it to my signal. It's just not mirrored. Okay, what about this? It was all on there before. Didn't work on here? No, I saw it up there before, like last time. Yeah, we was going with this one. What was plan C? Hold on. Yeah, what's plan C?
Yeah, that's
It's, yeah, just take it over here and stick it in that.
Actually, I think I just got it to work. Try it.
Because it wasn't getting it to me from scientists when I responded.
Each one of us is gonna take a chair. We're going in, everybody stay where they are, and then we're gonna do it. It's hot anyway.
Yeah. So I think, yeah.
Jerry,
It's cooler in there.
Yeah, much cooler.
Okay.
So that just do that. Just take what? The flash drive.
Yeah.
Just take
You
the
got
flash drive.
flash drive?
The flash drive out?
Take that flash
That we're gonna hand to people that are standing.
Yeah, oh no, we're not taking this computer, just the flash drive.
Just the flash drive.
All right.
Yeah, disconnect this.
The best laid plans of men and mice, but doesn't stop
Oh, that
the
is funny.
show. Doesn't
No,
stop
take
the
the
show.
folded one first. Take the folded one first.
So let's just go with it.
People on my team. These men and women are working together to show people how money works and how opportunity comes with choices. And choices lead to opportunity.
As a financial group, we believe everyone.
Everyone.
Everyone!
No matter where they come from or who they are. No matter what their current financial circumstances.
Education or professional background.
Everyone deserves an opportunity to learn the financial fundamentals that will affect their future. Everyone deserves a financial education.
Everyone deserves a chance to be happy.
Everyone deserves an opportunity.
I deserve to dream.
I deserve a future.
I deserve to be happy.
I want to retire where I don't have to go back to work.
I want to take care of my parents.
I want a college education for my kids that's not limited by grants or scholarships. I deserve a career that has awards and recognizes my dedication.
And I'm willing to work for
Mine's
it.
not being there. It's gonna be uploaded.
I believe.
Los Simpson. I believe.
Before WFG, I was an advertising executive. I was a CPA.
Probably under.
I had a car dealership.
I want to drink my fountain. I can sleep at night and have peace of mind.
I got a home with my own. At WFG, not only can I keep my friends, but I can see and other people in their
Trying to like Wi-Fi or something. No, I forgot to post back the new link. Are you streaming it? Not right now. I'm trying to figure out too much right now.
We believe in
I'm introducing Yoan or I thought you was.
I thought it was on the sheet.
Yeah, you said you were.
Hosting the event.
Dawn. Your speaker says Dawn. So you're ready to go.
Okay. If I knew I was doing it, I would have found out something.
It's on your paper. It's on your paper. Did you look over the list?
I believe in helping families who are ignored. I can tell you something. I believe in making a difference. I believe in World Financial Group in your town. In your community.
Load in.
Families across North America. I believe in the
Just tell me real quick.
I could have sworn I sent
Why
that.
We share something bigger.
Did not when you send it to me. Yes, I can.
WFG has changed my life.
It's true. Change.
Just want to welcome everybody here tonight. Thank you for coming out. Those of us who have the red scarf on, or red scarf, can we see you please? Okay. We are the ones who are domiciled in this office here. But anybody who you see with a blue name tag on they are members of Transamerica World Financial Group. Blue tags, can you show yourselves, please? All right. So we have people coming from Queens. We have an office in Hackensack. Wall Street. Well, our presenter is from Wall Street. Any other office? You too. Okay. So you're in for a treat this evening. Thank you for your patience. Your presenter this evening is one of our newer senior marketing directors, recently promoted senior marketing director. His office is on Wall Street. So we are very honored to have him here. Yoan was a paralegal before he got started with our firm, and I'm not going to give you a long thing because I know you're waiting patiently already. But somebody that we have seen grow up in the company, and we are just truly excited at his recent promotion and very happy to have him here. So you sit back, relax, and put your hands together. Welcome, Mr. Yoan.
Thank you, everyone. Right, man, I love the smiles that I see. Right, awesome. So I know you guys have been anxiously waiting to know what this is all about. You know, and I always like to say before I get started, you know, thank you for everyone for coming out. It's a Friday. It's about what 8:35 now, and I know a lot of you are fired up. Although I can't see it right now, but I know deep inside you're tremendously fired up. Right, I always believe that energy is infectious. Right, so I'm gonna give you everything I got, but you have to make me one promise that you return that back to me. Right? So the energy is what determines how good the presentation is going to be. So do we want to have a so-so presentation, or do we want to have a life-changing presentation? Life-changing. All right, fantastic. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So, you know, thank you so much, you know, for the kind introduction and the amazing words. This is true. You know, newly promoted senior marketing director, you know, but that's just a small tidbit from everything that's happened over the past 2 years and the tremendous growth that I've had thanks to some of the tremendous people that I've been around, the tremendous circle that I've been around, you know, studs like Avro Caesar and Jason Murray and Tanya, right? You know, I really do believe that you become the result of the 5 people you keep around you, maybe sometimes more than 5, right? And you know that really determines everything. I'm going to share a little bit more about that in a minute, but before I do, I really like to get to know a couple people here. You know, just very simple. I know a lot of you are not shy, right? You know, just share your name, what you currently do, and who invited you out. Let's start with Nurba.
Hi. My name is Nurba. I'm currently unemployed, looking for an opportunity, and I was invited here by Marie.
Awesome.
All right.
So,
All right, so let's have Ebzer.
Enter.
Okay. Okay, Ebzer.
Okay, I'm an Enzo Badoras. I'm a limo driver. I'm invited by Mary.
Okay, man, the popular man. Okay. All right. So we have
Ricardo Forbes.
Ricardo Phillips.
Yeah, Forbes.
Forbes.
Yeah, Ricardo Forbes.
Oh, Ricardo Forbes.
Yeah, close to them, 4-person.
Okay. All right, fantastic. So how do you know this amazing woman here?
My neighbor.
And she's your neighbor, man. What a wonderful neighbor to have, right? So we have Don.
Oh, yeah. I'm retired.
Okay.
Annette.
Okay. Lynette invited you. Okay. And
I'm Linda.
Linda.
Nurse. And Reba invited.
Okay, fantastic. So we kind of have a very diverse room, and I love that. I love the fact that we have a diverse room because, as you heard, I have a paralegal background, which means what? You don't have to come from a finance background to do what we do, right? And so, you know, thank you so much for sharing. Now, before I get into what is it that we're going to talk about this evening, you know, I want to share a little bit about me, right? You guys had a chance to share, and I want to share a little bit about me. So ultimately, yes, I was born in Queens, and I was raised in Haiti, right? Born in Queens and raised in Haiti. And just about the year 2000, by the way, I was raised by my grandparents. And just about the year 2000 or 2002, I believe, we traveled back here. And I want you to really pay close attention to, why that happened. But ultimately, we came here in 2002. A lot of people come here to this country to seek opportunity, right? And for us, it was a very different turn. Because for me and my family, it was because our opportunities were taken away from us. Okay, so ultimately what ended up happening is, I had a grandfather of mine who committed suicide. Right, my grandfather committed suicide, and one of the topics we're going to talk about this evening is about building wealth, about preserving wealth, about allowing us to get to the next level. And it's tremendously important to me because it's basically a description of most of the things that have happened in the past 15 years in my life. So I don't know if you can picture this, but basically what happened is we transitioned from, I would say, upper middle class in Haiti, right, to being on Section 8 here in the United States. Imagine that shift, right? But anyway, we're survivors. Aren't we all survivors, right?
Yes.
We're all survivors. So I came here, I went to middle school, went to high school, and I got accepted to Rutgers University. So I got accepted to Rutgers University, and I mean, at the time, I was happy. I wasn't the first generation to go to school, so it was regular for us. But I didn't understand the scale of what was happening because, when you come from the Caribbean, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go to school. You're supposed to go to grade school, but the whole ranking thing doesn't exist the same way in Haiti. So it wasn't until like sometime in my freshman year that I realized, I said, man, this is a big time school, Rutgers, right? But, in the beginning, I had some struggles, and I'm going to share why. So, as most of us, whether we're from Latin America, whether we're from the Caribbean, when you come here, there's only two fields that you can go into. It's either you're going to become a doctor or a lawyer, right? So in Haiti, those two are probably the prime career path that you can go in, right? Mom, I really want to become a pilot. Nope, you're going to become a doctor or a lawyer. I was like, all right, right? So I already knew what I was going to go into. So I first started studying biochemistry. Okay, so after I took bio and chem, I was like, I don't know if those two subjects are my best friends, right? So the other thing is with a lot of Haitian parents, they don't accept no's. So I was trying to figure out how am I going to tell them that I'm no longer going to become a doctor, right? But, I had it planned out. I said, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I'm going to become a lawyer now. You see how I transitioned, right? And so that's ultimately what happened. I changed majors, and what began to happen is my grades started changing. And eventually I was able to graduate with amazing grades and, get my degree, But why is that so important? Because a lot of us get stuck on certain things, right, because of pride. But guess what? Sometimes we have to focus on what's the most important. The most important thing is that goes well beyond pride is the fact that a degree is what I needed, right? So I could have kept fighting to pass those science courses and fell out of school. Or I can just change a major and get a degree, right? So I changed majors and I got my degree. But before I even started working, before I even actually graduated, I started working at a law firm. Okay, so this law firm was Legal Services of New Jersey. Who's heard of Legal Services of New Jersey? All right, Legal Services of New Jersey, and then I started off as an intake paralegal. All right, so that means, yes, so they've added picking up the phones on my job list, right, on the things that I had to do. So now about 6 months in, the two people who were responsible for training me suddenly disappeared. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I didn't never believe in UFOs. So I said, man, where did everybody go? So about a week later, I started receiving text messages, and they were asking me questions about what's happening in the office. They were asking me questions on whether I can help represent them in court and so on and so forth. And it was at that time that I got my first slap into the real world. What was the slap? I found out that I was brought in to replace them. So what they do is they hired a young stud, half their age, that they can pay half the money to double the work. right? And so that was one of the biggest lessons. See, you know, all these things, you know, you're told that, you know, absolutely if you go to school, you're guaranteed a job, that is absolutely going to happen, right? I think that's one of the biggest lies that exists. Okay, a lot of people feel entitled when they have a degree to just be given a job. That's not how it works, right? You are a business, you are a brand. You have to actually work to get those jobs, right? But ultimately, I wanted to bring that up to let you know that, you know, immediately I said, you know what? If it happened once, it's going to happen again. You know, people are blessed with different gifts from our, you know, great father. But ultimately, I was blessed with the gift of intuition. So I said, hey, listen, you know, I need to find a plan B. Okay, well, what was my plan B? Okay, I had an uncle of mine who owned a Haitian restaurant in Elizabeth, New Jersey. That's not too far from here, right? And so, you know, my uncle was getting ready to retire. He was getting ready to leave to Haiti, and nobody in the family ever stepped up. Nobody in the family ever stepped up. And I found it weird because the one business course that I took in college, I found out how important it is to have your own business, right? So I went up to him and I said, hey, uncle, I'm going to take over, right? And he goes, aren't you supposed to be the family's lawyer? I said, okay, that didn't work, right? So, all right, so what did I do? Right? I never take no for an answer. I never take no for an answer. So I went to Princeton University for about 6 months and I took a business course. Came back with a business plan. I was like, bam, here it is, right? I have a plan that's going to allow you to double or triple your profits. He's like, oh, really? Let me take a look at that. And then a couple weeks later, I said, okay, so what's next? What do I do? He said it's going to be about $250,000. I said, $250,000? Aren't we family? You're supposed to like pass this down to me, right? He's like, no, that's not how it works. I need a retirement plan. I said, okay. I didn't have that part of my plan. So what did I do? Right? I knew that this was very important towards the next years of my life. Why? Because a lot of us work for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and we really believe that we're irreplaceable. Okay? As long as you have a job, you're all irreplaceable here. You're all known as numbers at your jobs. Okay? So the only way that you can't be replaced is when you have your own business. So I was going to fight for it. And the way that I fought is I went to the bank. I said, Dad, I need a business loan. I need a business loan. And so then what happened was I got there. I got denied because I just graduated from college. I had no credit. I said, man, this, you talking about obstacles after obstacles, right? This is not working out, right? There's no book. There's no, like, you know, how to start from having a job to a business for dummies. You know, that doesn't exist. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. But here's the thing. You know, whenever you want something really bad, you make sure you focus on it and then you work towards it, right? You don't let obstacles come in your way. And why is that important? Because whether we pray, whether we meditate, it all relates to one thing, right? So if you focus on something long enough, right, and you call it out to the universe, right, it will bend backwards to bring it to you. Okay, so ultimately what I was focused on was finding a different opportunity. And I had a whole bunch of opportunities come my way during that time period. I had a whole bunch of opportunities. I mean, I was invited to, I don't know if you ever heard of the company named Amway. Oh, yeah. Right? Yeah. Right, so Cutco, you know, they sell like knives and stuff, you know, but a lot of that stuff never made sense to me. A lot of it never, and the reason why that is, you know, coming from a paralegal background or a legal background, we analyze everything. And so during the presentation, I said, well, what's the big deal? They sell knives at Walmart. Right? So they told me I can't stay in the presentation. I had to leave. Right? And that continued. I was even invited by Mary Kay. I had no interest in makeup whatsoever. Right? But here's what happened. I kept looking. And so what happens is eventually I received a call one day. I received a call from someone named Andrea Sorosa, right? And she was actually interviewing my friend who was, wanted to get started with the company. And so they started asking me some background questions about my friend Giselle, right, who was a really good friend of mine, you know, and I told him, I said, yeah, she's amazing. She was my mentor in college. She's, you know, you should hire her, right? And then right before I hung up, I said, hey, by the way, she parties a lot. And then she's like, okay. You know, I said, just kidding, right? She's your girl, right? And then that really picked, well, what happened was that caught her attention, and she goes, hey, by the way, are you keeping your options open? I said, matter of fact, I am, right? And so I showed up one more time, right? I showed up to the presentation just like you are here today. I showed up in the first, in the little networking room, and then I was brought to my seat, and then I was sitting in the first row. But mind you, I've been to other presentations before, so, you know, I had my arms crossed. I was like, you know, what is it that they can really show me that I don't know about? You know, when you come from a legal background, what happens is you tend to be very cocky. You think you know everything, you know? So that was my attitude. I said, what can they possibly teach me? And then the presenter said 3 things. He said 3 things. He said, number 1, you can make a lot of money here. And I started looking around. I said, did everybody hear that? Right? Number 2, we help people. Right? Why was that attracting? Why was that attracted to me? Because these are some of the principles that my grandmother raised me with. And number 3, we don't charge a penny to do it. And that was the mystery that kept me there. I was like, okay, well, how does that happen? Right? And so what I want to tell you is you're going to see tremendous amount of information today. You know, you definitely want to make sure you take notes, right? You definitely want to make sure you focus, because it's the type of information that you probably never knew it even existed. But from the time that you now know it exists can change your life forever. Okay? So ultimately, what I want to let you know is, although we all have different backgrounds here, right? Background in a retired nurse and limo driver, and we had Ricardo, who was custodian, right? So although we have different backgrounds, although we have different interests, there's one thing that connects us all. Do you know what that is? Finances, right? So that's one, but it's naturally embedded in us to help one another. Right? So this is basically another way to be able to help families, another way to help them transform their lives. And so we can look at different careers that exist. We can look at different fields that exist, right? And you can go towards the, you know, becoming a police officer. Well, yeah, they help people. Okay, you can go into the medical industry. Yes, they help people, right? You can go into multiple different industries where they help people. But at the very core of all these different industries, there's one thing that runs them all: money. So the topic that we're going to talk about is not finance, it's about money, right? The reason why I don't say finance is very general, right? But everybody likes to talk about money, right? We think about it every day, but we never bring it up. Let me share something right before we get started, right? You are the results of the conditions in which you were raised. You are the results of the in the conditions in which you were raised. So what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of us within middle class America, we have a certain way that we think about money. We think that money is bad. We think that money is the root of all evil, right? A lot of us, when we were kids and we went to ask our mom for money, and she said, no, go ask your dad for money. So those things continue to play over and over in our minds. And as we continue to grow up, we see it as something negative. But I will let you know something. Wealth is to be attracted, not chased. Wealth is to be attracted, not chased. And so what I mean by that, anything that is a contradiction mentally, you'll never attract. If you're working every single day for money, but at the same time you believe it's the root of all evil, do you see how there's a problem?
Oh, yeah.
So at the very root of what we're going to do here today is education. Right? Trust me, I'm a terrible salesman. That's not what I'm here for. But I'm a great educator. Okay? So now let's get right into it. So our company. All right. So what is one simple way that I can describe what we do? Okay? We provide financial education to middle class Americans. We teach the 95%ers what the 5%ers know about money. A lot of us the whole time, right? We're like, man, what are these guys doing? You know, they're stealing from the country, but you know, deep inside, you want to know what they do. So you're going to get that information here today. So you definitely want to make sure you focus on what that is, right? So yes, there's going to be tons of information you see, but there's 3 questions that I want you to think about as we're going through the progression of this presentation. Number 1, do you know someone who can benefit from this message? Number 2, can this information help you, your family, or your friends financially? And number 3, are you intrigued by this business? So ultimately, how did this story come about? How is it that we can have the audacity to say, hey, we help middle-class America and we don't charge a penny to do it? Okay, so well, the way it happened is we have the backing of a big company. And that company is called Aegon. It's a $650 billion company. You could put McDonald's, Dell, and IBM together. That still doesn't amount to $650 billion. All right, they are a financial giant in the world. They're a Fortune 100 company, right? They are traded on 6 major stock exchanges. So what does that tell you? It's not my uncle's restaurant, right? So they do everything in the areas of finance. But here's what happened. Up until 1999, they did not have a U.S. footing. So they came here and they bought this company. Is there like a pointer in this? No? Okay. They bought this company named Transamerica. Transamerica Financial Advisors. Who have heard of Transamerica? All right, awesome. So Transamerica is also a company that's been around for a very long time. All right, so Transamerica, as of today, is the 3rd largest broker-dealer in the country. But more importantly, I say we're, you know, amazing women dominated today, right? And so what I want to let you know is also one of the top companies when it comes to giving women the equal opportunity to work within financial services. All right, so that's number 1. So now what ended up happening is Aegon said, you know what, this is an awesome company to do business with. Their one issue was the fact that it was just one company. And they were trying to figure out how is it that we're going to have a bigger reach on the U.S. market. So what they did is they went out and they got this second company named World Financial Group. Okay, and World Financial Group, that's really what transpired everything. I mean, this was the missing piece of the puzzle they were looking for. This was the catalyst to everything. And why is this such a big deal? Because really what World Financial Group is, it's a marketing and distribution company. So I'll give you an example. How many of you have been to Foot Locker before? You've been to Foot Locker? Awesome. So the last time you went to Foot Locker, you looked around, you saw all different types of sneakers in all different types of colors. But the one brand that you probably never paid attention to, you probably never saw, was a Foot Locker brand. Is there such a thing as a Foot Locker brand? No. So what makes Foot Locker so different than going to a Nike store? Who can tell? Who said that? Oh, Don. Variety. Yes. If you go to a Nike store, what are the chances you find Adidas? Right? If you go to a Timberland store, what are the chances you find Puma? Right? But guess where you find them all at? Foot Locker. Ah, right? So Foot Locker is really a marketing and distribution company for sneakers. So we are the Foot Locker for financial services.
Yes.
Okay? So through us, we have tremendous leverage. We have tremendous flexibility. All right? So we work with over 200 different companies. When we're sitting down with an individual, when we're sitting down with a family, a small business, or a franchise, there's no way that we can help them. Right? Because guess what? We're not product driven, we're solution driven. I already know I work with over 200 of the top companies in the industry. Right? I already know I'm going to have a solution. It's just a matter of what is your problem and how can I help you solve it. Right? If you ask me, that's pretty powerful.
Yes.
All right? And so ultimately, now I want to share with you, that is the next big business out there. If you pay attention, you find companies like Amazon. They just passed Walmart in sales, but they don't own any stores. You ever paid attention to that? All right? Uber. A lot of the yellow taxi people hate Uber, right? But Uber doesn't own any cars. You see what's happening? What is Facebook's product? They don't have any. Okay? Exactly. So guess what? That's the impact we have within financial services. All right? Are we clear? All right, excellent. So through Wealth Financial Group, we have access to companies like Pacific Life, Nationwide is on your side, right? I had this whole singing I was gonna do, but not tonight. Voya, right? Prudential, right? These are some of the companies we work with. So through these companies, we give people access to things like fixed annuities, life insurance, index universal life, long-term care, plus many, many other things, right? So that tells you, guess what? So maybe some of them you've seen before. Maybe some of them you've never seen. But I can guarantee you, even for those of you who've seen some of these before, you have no idea how they work. How many people have 401ks and don't know how their 401ks work? Right? You probably checked off all the little boxes because your friend Mary next to you did the same. You said, what boxes did you check off? Right? So what we do is we sit down with you and we help educate you about what you have or whether we can improve your situation. All right? So now, what happens is now we get into the crusade and what we stand for, right? We believe in no family left behind. Has anybody ever missed a plane? A train? It's a terrible feeling to be left behind. But guess what? Middle class America is left behind. Okay, so now I'm going to share with you who middle class America is. So they're the people who make $100,000 a year or less. They have a job, they have a 401k plan, right? They just believe that their family is just temporarily important. So they have temporary life insurance, they rent a home, they put all their money in the bank, okay? They have tons of credit card debt, they have very minimal tax advantages, and they have no advisor and no plan. But they form the majority of the population.
Wow.
So if this looks familiar, it's probably because you're here or you know somebody who is. But who do you have on the other side? You have wealthy America. Who is wealthy America? Yes, they're the group of people that everybody hates on. It's like, how can they be so rich, right? But who are they? There's something really interesting I want to share with you. You see, in our company, we get to have access to multimillionaires, and they actually are very humble. And you can ask them questions. So I sat down with one of them. I said, I'm just curious. If you're already making millions, why do you want to make more? They said, because once we take care of us, right, we want to make sure the next 3 generations are taken care of. Meanwhile, most people can't even take care of themselves. I said, okay, question answered, right? So who are they? They're the people who make $250,000 a year or more. They are business owners. Right? They permanently cover their family. They are homeowners. They have a diversified portfolio. They're debt-free. They maximize their tax advantages. Okay, and they have a financial professional. However, they form a very small percentage of the population. So what is the vision? What is the goal? What is it that we're looking to do? We're looking to see how many people can we get from this side to this side. What if it was 50-50?
Wonderful.
Right? So if I said it's 50-50, people are like, no, you're lying. But if I say what if, it gives you just enough space to start thinking about that. Huh? Right? What if it was 50-50? So the 50-50 means this. I really sincerely believe if that happened, we would be the #1 country in the world. Right? And that's the vision. That's what we're looking to do. So now there's multiple reasons for why this category really stands out. But there's one particular reason that sets them apart. And it's the fact that they have a financial professional. A financial professional allows you to have a diversified portfolio. A financial professional gives you access to tax advantage accounts. A financial professional even helps them with like their businesses and so on and so forth. Now, why is it that you think that most people don't have a financial professional? They can't afford it. You're right. Any other reasons?
They don't make enough money.
Right. Okay. They don't make enough money. They can afford it.
Not approached because they don't
Job education for the
Education. Yes. You all said all the right things. It's absolutely that, right? Some people may lack the education. Some people think that, you know, they don't have money, right? But usually that's the number one reason. People are like, man, how much would it be to have access to one of those guys, right? So there's a reason why I'm here today, right? There's a reason why you're here and you're not at, you know, the lobby of Goldman Sachs or something, right? The Goldman Sachs, the Merrill Lynches of the world, unless you have $500,000 in liquid assets, you don't exist. So what if you have $10,000? Where does that put you? Well, guess what? They don't really care. They'll tell you, go to the bank, open the CD, right? And so ultimately, to actually hire one of them, it's $500 to $3,000 an hour. So tax season is around now. If you come across $2,000, who's going to say here, let me hire an advisor for an hour?
Nobody.
That doesn't happen, huh? But you are going to say, man, you know, I've been working this whole year. I deserve a vacation. So let me go to Cancun, right? Or you say, you know, my baby's getting married. Here's $2,000, right? But no one is ever going to change the patterns of what they do to even have access to one of those guys. But here's the thing. What if now I can tell you, you can have access to one of them and bring you the same level of service complimentary. So in other words, for free. Then there should be no reason why you don't improve your life. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
Then I just took away all your excuses. Because I don't charge. Okay? So now it says on the bottom that most people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. Let me just break down what that means. See, when we're born and we want to be doctors and lawyers or engineers, and sometimes we end up being the garbage man, right? Nothing wrong with that. But it's not, nobody calls themselves a failure. That doesn't happen on purpose, right? So what happens is, as we grow up though, we do fail to plan. We really think that everything is going to happen, right? We just wish it's going to happen instead of making it happen, instead of having a plan on how it's going to happen. Do you know what the difference between a wish and a goal is?
Yep. Time. The deadline.
You act on the goal and the wish,
deadline.
And the goal has a deadline.
Plan.
It has a plan.
Take action.
Take action. Okay. Anyone else?
Focus.
Focus. Okay. Yes, absolutely. Right. One of them you actually think you can realize. The other one's like, maybe. Right. So ultimately, this is the definition right here. Ready? A dream without a plan is a wish. But a dream with a plan is a goal. So what we do is we help people transform their dreams from wishes to goals. So the way that we do that is by elevating people's level of education. The way we teach through concepts. Very complicated ideas that we make simple so that you can apply to yourself and change your life financially and then apply to the next generation. Okay, so I'm going to share what some of those are. The first thing you have is, how do you properly build your financial household? You start with number one, protection. Everything you have, everything you've worked for, everything that you're valued at has to be protected. And I'm going to go back to why I came here from Haiti. Guess what? Nothing we had was protected. So I'm telling you this from experience. See, sometimes, a lot of times, within middle class, within the Caribbean, within Latin America, this is what happens. The person who runs the household, right? I usually say the male, but here, you know, in the U.S., you have a mix, right? Sometimes the ladies run the household, right? And the person says, no, nobody else needs to know of what's happening. The kids, as they said, that's none of your business, right? So the one person who controls the household has control of everything. But what happens if they have an unplanned death? Then what? So that means everything that you've worked for is lost. And that's exactly what happened to us. Okay? So protection. That starts the foundation. Number two, growth. Where you're putting your money, is it outpacing inflation or is it falling behind to inflation? Number three, is it safe? Okay? Do you lose money when the market comes down, or do you continue to make money? Do you get a guarantee? Right? You're probably like, does that even exist? Yes, it does. Right? And then tax advantages. Now that your money's growing, Now that you know it's safe, now that you know it's protected, are you then going to be taxed on the growth of your money, or you're never going to be taxed? Okay, so a lot of people believe that rich people don't get taxed. That's not true. Everybody pays taxes, but they just pay less taxes than you do. If you're paying 10, you live in New York, you pay all types of taxes. Local, state, federal, sales, and it just keeps going. So if you're paying 10 taxes, they're paying 5, that makes a big difference. Okay? So I'm then going to go into the breakdown of each one of those things. So you first have disability insurance. Right? So God forbid something happens, any of us walks out of here, you get hit by a taxi or something like that. If you stop working, where does your income, where will your income come from to take care of you? Number 2, long-term care. They say 1 out of 3 women past the age of 50 will need long-term care. This is another tough mentality we have within our communities. We say, hey, this is why I have a lot of kids, so that they can take care of me. But I want to share something with you. If the kids are struggling, then everybody will perish together. So take care of your own. Okay? Number 3, retirement planning. We come here from different countries because all we think about is working. But you can work for 30 years and still have no money.
True.
How much of that are you actually putting to the side so that you actually can go back to your country? Right? As Haitians, as Jamaicans, wherever it is that we're from, this is something we need to start changing. Right? Life insurance. Well, within middle class America, that conversation doesn't exist. When you ask people, do you have life insurance, they'll tell you a resounding no. And you say, okay, why? Right? You ask them why, they say, well, number 1, I never had time to get to it. Number 2, I just think it's too expensive. And number 3, I just don't believe in it. That's what you hear. And I always say this, I say, well, it's not Catholicism. There's nothing to believe or don't believe. It's not a religion. Right? It's either you have it or you don't. Okay? So ultimately what happens is this. We want to start elevating people's level of understanding on how life insurance works. Okay? So here's what happens. We only believe that your family can benefit if you die. So you say, well, what's the point? What's the point of me getting something like this? Well, what if there were living benefits? Right? So I just eliminated another excuse. What if there were living benefits? Okay, so what are these living benefits? It can help you supplement your retirement income. It can help you create a source of savings. It can replace income for your dependents. Right? It can pay federal and state taxes. And the list just continues. See, what your understanding of life insurance is very different from what Donald Trump's understanding of life insurance is. Right? So there are actually 5 different types of life insurance.
Nothing should happen that's not happening.
Okay. So there are 5 different types of life insurance. All right? And they're split into 2 categories. One of them is called term, and the other one's called permanent. So let me just give you an example. The way that term works is you pay towards it every month. It's like rent, but it'll never be yours. You can love your apartment all you want, but you know it's never going to be yours, right? So guess what? On the other side, you have something called permanent. So that's more like having a house. Yes, you pay towards it every month, but you know that eventually it will be yours. It allows you to build equity. It allows you to have a savings. But under permanent, there are 4 types. There's whole life, there's universal life, there's variable universal life, and then there is index universal life. How many people knew that? Right? Excellent. So what we do is we teach you about the different types, and we see which one would be a good fit for you. If you are a parent, if you have some type of family, it is irresponsible not to have any form of life insurance. Okay? So now we focus on the growth of your money. So there's something called the rule of 72. All right, so now this was created by a very dumb guy named Albert Einstein. You heard of him? I was just making sure everyone was awake, right? He said that this is so important that it should be considered the 8th wonder of the world. Man, the audacity. The 8th wonder of the world, because he created it, right? But let's break down how it works, right? He basically stated that if you take this number and you divide it by the interest that your account is giving you, it'll tell you the number of years it takes your money to double. If you take 72, you divide it by the interest wherever it is that you have your money, right? And you divide it by that interest, it'll tell you the number of years it takes your money to double. So let's just take a look at how this works. So let's just say, for example, your account is going at 1%. So you take 72, you divide it by 1, that equals to 72. So that means at 1%, your money doubles every 72 years. So my question to you is, how many 72 years do you have in a lifetime?
1. Thank God.
1 point something. Now let me ask you another question, if you're lucky, right? So a lot of us probably don't have bank accounts until we, like late teens, maybe 20s. So that means within your lifetime, you're not seeing that money double, right? So here's what happens. How many of you have actual savings accounts? Okay. So on your savings account, do you know what interest that they give you? What is that? Such a little bit, right?
Yeah, right.
Ricardo, do you know? Can anybody take a guess?
That's that 1%.
Yes, that's exactly what it is, 0.01. All right. So now if we're using this math, well, before we go into that math, let's use this math. Right? So that means if you're 29 years old, you have $10,000 in a 1% account. By 101, you'll have a whopping $20,000. I'm sure you're fired up right now. Right? You're fired up right now. So now, just so I can connect the math, so if you take 72 and you divide it by 0.01, it gives you 7,200. Yep. Exactly. So that's basically like the bank giving your big middle finger.
Go back to the video too.
That was just for us here. It wasn't being recorded, right? Right. So ultimately, all I'm showing you here is different interest rates and how you're how to use the math. 72 divided by 4, your money doubles every 18 years. At 6% every 12 years. At 10% every 7.2 years. It's regular math, right? You're probably like, oh my gosh, but it's revolutionary, right? So ultimately, it's not so much the math that's incredible, but it's more like, where am I going to get 6 and 10%? And this is what the top 5%ers pay so much money for other people to tell them. And this is what you will have the opportunity to know about from the people who invited you out. Okay? So let me give you an example of what happens with your money. So the $10,000 you have in your bank account, right? Maybe somebody gave you a gift, maybe you had a big month and you got bonuses. The $10,000 is taken and it's reinvested about 10 to 15 times more. That $10,000 can go to $100,000. That means they just made a $90,000 profit off your money. And then it slowly goes back to your account like nothing happened. You probably don't even notice it moves unless you're in the negative, right? So here's basically what happens. That $90,000, they didn't have it and they throw it right back at you, but not in a way that can benefit you. They give it back to you in forms of mortgages, car notes, student loans, and something that everybody loves because it comes in all colors of the rainbow, called credit cards. Everybody loves credit cards, but nobody ever pays attention to the APR in the credit cards. If you notice, for people in middle class America, it ranges between 18 to 32%. So it's always in the double digits, specifically around 22 to 24. So if you take 72 and you divide it by 24, that gives you 3. So that means while your money takes 7,200 years to double, Theirs doubles every 3 years. Every year. Every 4 years, depending on what the APR is. So now you ask yourself this. Would you rather put your money in the bank or where the bank puts their money? Where the bank puts their money, right? So that's the type of access that we give you. So now we get into more growth. So there's 3 categories on how your money can possibly grow. Regardless of who comes up to you after today, right, and telling you all these complicated things, there's only 3 different places that your money can go. It's either it's in a fixed account, meaning, guess what? You'll never lose money. This is correct. But unless you have dinosaur blood, you probably never see it double. Okay? Then you have something called variable accounts. So the way they work is every time the market goes up, so does your money, and everybody's happy. Man, let's throw a party. And then the market comes down, and so does your money. And everyone wants that depression pills, right? So that's exactly how it works. It goes up and down. So if you, being Linda was a retired nurse, right? And Tanya. So this looks like a popular machine in the hospital called the EKG. Right? It's like, man, this person's definitely dying. This is a heart attack, right? This is a heart attack. So here's the thing. I have no problem with people, taking risk. Hey, it's your money. But the problem I do have is how can you tell millions of people to put their money into retirement accounts that look like heart attacks? And you know what those are? Those are your 401ks. Those are your 403bs. Those are your IRAs. Okay? And last but not least, you then have something called indexed. So the way the index works is every time the market goes up, so does your money. So if the market goes up 4%, you make 4%. Did I lose everyone? No. If the market goes up 4%, you make 4%. If it goes up 6%, you go up 6%. And if you go up 10%, you go up 10%. But if it comes down negative 20%, what happens?
0. Right.
Oh, you guys are paying attention. So yes, they give you a guarantee. They lock you in. They give you a guarantee of 0.75%. So you're never losing money. Imagine that. Imagine that you're never losing money no matter what happens. You can just put the money there, forget it, and it'll just keep growing. Man. All right, then you have something called safety. All right, so in 2008, a lot of people lost money, correct?
Yes.
If you were working at a company, you call HR right away. You said, what is going on with my money? And HR says, don't worry, the market's going to go back up. Right? And you said, oh, okay. You walked away. Right? But let's just test this out. What does that really mean? If you have $100 and you lose 50%, how much do you have left? $50. Exactly. So now you have the $50 and the market goes back up 50%. How much do you now have? Associates, don't answer. 50? Who says 50? 50? Is that the common answer? Nobody's going for 100? 100? Anybody else? 100? 75. Because it's 50% of $50, not 100, right? 50% of $50 is 25. 50 plus 25 is 75. Right? It's not a trick question, right? But they definitely trick you, right? So here's how it happens. The minute that they told you that the market goes back up, that's what you're thinking, right? That's what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, the market goes back up, I mean what I lost. And that's not how percentages work. So the only way for you to break even if the market goes back up 100%. Right? When has that ever happened?
Never.
Exactly. There you have it. So in 08, it actually dropped 40%. So if you think that it went back up that much, you're going to be waiting for a long time. Then you have something called taxes. Now you know how your money is growing, right? Now you know the 3 different ways that you can possibly have your money grow. Now you know all this great information. You know about compounding interest, and now you got to worry about taxes. So your first account is called your tax now account. So the way the tax now account works is like this. When you start working somewhere, they call it your gross. You know, you're going to make $80,000 gross, Ricardo. You're like, man, I'm fired up. But by the time that you're actually getting the checks, you say, how is it that I'm making 60? That's called your net. Right? So what happens is, whatever hits your bank account, it's already been taxed. So it's called tax now. And then they said, hey, you know what, Sal? Keep putting your money to, actually, you know, you have a little extra money that we're paying you, but you can put into this retirement account called a 401k. And you're like, oh, that sounds great. I think Nerva does this at work. Let me ask her how to get it done. And she's like, yes, I'll, go ahead and do it. My mom did that too. I have another friend. Those are amazing accounts. So you all get 401ks and IRAs, right, and fixed annuities and saving bonds at your jobs. But the way they work is they'll just switch to you work for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and now you're getting ready to retire. That's when they hammer you with taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's the difference between being taxed on the seed versus the harvest.
Mm.
So you tell me which one you want, right? How do you want your taxes cut? Right? And then last but not least, you have tax advantage. So the way the tax advantage work is basically like this. You're never taxed. It's just a fancy word for saying tax-free. Advantage, right? It just means you're not taxed, right? You're not taxed on the growth of your money. So the way that works is basically like this. You have things like Roth IRAs, and I know for a lot of you, maybe the people who like to have a little finance background, yes, there are municipal bonds, but with either one, Roth IRAs, municipal bonds, those are awesome. Those are awesome, yes, because you're never taxed, but what they usually don't let you know is you can still lose money in the down market, right? So Roth IRAs, for a lot of people, limit you to $5,500 up until a certain year, and then you can put more. But here's the thing, if you're thinking about the 5%ers, do you really think they're limited to just those 2 accounts? No, right? So there has to be another area, and there is. This is probably one of the biggest kept secrets. For hundreds of years, there's been this strategy of actually growing, having your cash grow, and cash accumulation in a life insurance policy. Why? Because for a very long time, the government decided that any money put into life insurance will never be taxed. And the 5%ers are like, oh, this is what we pay people for. Man, there's a loophole there, right? So, and they've been taking advantage of this. But most people say, I'm life insurance. That's not for me. Okay, cool. Right? Right? So this is some of the information, and then now we go into what is the solution to all this. I know you probably thought this was going to be exciting. It's like, man, this is so depressing. It makes me think about my finances. That wasn't the goal, right? So when we're sitting down with someone, we want to make sure that we're able to give you solutions. So we go through something called a financial GPS. See, when you're going somewhere very far and you don't know how to get there, you plug it into your GPS, right? And it always has to know where you're starting. It has to know where you're going. But what if you don't have a GPS? What do you use?
A map.
A map. Exactly. So let's just say you're heading to Florida from New Jersey. It starts getting hot on your drive down there, and you put the window down, the map flies out the window. What else would you use?
Ask people along the way.
Ask people along the way, right? So yes, that happens. Right? So ultimately, I can only use this joke because I'm Haitian. Nobody else has the right to use this joke. Right? Oh, and you. Right? So ultimately, this is what happens. I've had the personal experience. I know a lot of us Haitian men, we don't like to say we don't know. let's just say you come across this gas station, you ask for directions, and it'll tell you, just keep driving. When you see the guy in the red shirt, make a right. You're like, the guy in the red shirt? What are you telling me, right? So ultimately, right? So if you ask the wrong person, right, or they don't tell you how to get there, you probably never get there. If you don't have a GPS on how to get to your destination, you're in trouble, right? The same goes for retirement. If you've never been provided a GPS on how to get to retirement, how do you ever think you're going to get there? Right? So we go through these 6 steps. So number 1, we help you increase your cash flow. All right, so how is it that we help somebody increase their cash flow? All right, well, a lot of people know how much they make, they just never know where it goes. So we teach you how to manage your expenses, and we teach you how to budget. Okay? Number 2, we teach you how to grow your emergency funds. Alrighty, so back then when people lost their jobs, within 1 to 3 months you can find work again. Now, it can take you a year to years, and you probably not have work. But do you have about 6 months or 12 months saved? You know, emergencies, they don't give you a 2-week notice. It just show up. Then you have debt management. We help you with multiple forms of unsecured debt. We help with student loan forgiveness. Okay, why? Because if you can reduce your debt, you can use that difference to save. See how that works?
Mm-hmm.
Proper protection, right? So people will protect their cell phones, their pets, their cars, but the one person who runs that entire cycle is you, and most people don't have life insurance. You tell me how that makes sense. Alright? So ultimately, we want to basically, as I mentioned before, continue to raise the education when it comes to that. Okay? Number 5, building wealth. I talked about this. How do you outpace inflation? Well, you got to first know what inflation is. Inflation is about 3 to 4% right now. So that means wherever you're putting your money has to be growing at least 5% or more. You see how that makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's not, then you're losing money. And most people put money where? In the
bank,
which grows at less than
1%.
So you see how that works? So that's one of the things we tell you. How to outpace inflation. That's number 1. Number 2, here it comes. Where your money is growing, is it going to be taxed? Or is it never going to be taxed? Okay? Anywhere that you can have your money grow that's not taxed is always going to be that. Anywhere you put it that is taxed. And last but not least, if you do all these 5 things correctly, it'll put you in a position where you have to preserve everything. Okay? See, here's the thing. Right? When when you've been working for all these years and you've built all these assets, you have cars, you have houses, you have all those things, and then to find out that if you leave it behind that the government can come and take it, that's devastating. And things like that actually happen. I'm going to give you a popular example of a port failure. You have, the example of James Gandolfini. Who knows who that is? So, yes, the actor, Tony Soprano, right? He left $70 million to his family. But before they were able to touch one brown penny, they came and hit him with a $34 million tax. Okay, called estate taxes, right? It's like death taxes to a lot of us, it's called. So I guess because he couldn't argue it, right, he came and took it from him. So that's number 1. Number 2, he made the mistake to leave the money to his kids and not his wife. But why was that a mistake? See, in New York and New Jersey, when you're married, you're considered one entity. So the fact that he left the money to his kids, it qualified them for something called an inheritance tax. So they got hit again. And at the end of the year, because they had more money that they had to report in their taxes, what do you think they had to pay more in? Income taxes. So you start doing the math, right? So online they had somewhere around 28 million out of the 70 million. So they got hammered. So now you start to think, if you're in middle class America and you're leaving $200,000 behind and you don't protect it, that money is good as gone. So what are some of those ways? Right? Number 1, do you have a will? Is your will updated? Do you have beneficiaries on each bank account? Just because it's under Hannah right? That doesn't mean if something happens to Hannah, your kid goes, it's automatically theirs. And whatever is unclaimed, the state takes it. And last but not least, do you have protection on everything that you built? So this is the level of information that we give. Powerful so far?
Yes.
All right, awesome. So now what we do is we believe that right now timing is everything. Timing is everything. We want to have this conversation because we understand the trend of what's happening. All right, so from 1946 to 1964, you had something called a baby boomer generation, right? You had about 78 million people born. You know what happened? World War II ends. All right, these soldiers have not seen their wives in many years. Yes, and then boom, 78 million babies later. Right? From the time that they've been born, they've been changing the economy, good and bad, for the last 40-something years. So now understand this. This is business. What is business? See, business can exist unless there's a need. Business can't exist unless there's a need. So you know that 78 million babies are born. Forget your jobs. If you were to open a business, what type of business would you open? Baby food, something catering to babies, right? Anything having to do with babies. That's business. People make it so complicated, right? So babies. So Gerber jumped from selling about 6,000 jars of baby food a year to 6 million. All right. And then you had the babies grew up. So you had companies like Mattel, Hansborough, right? You had companies like Tyco, yes, amongst them because more and more kids were growing up, and then you had fast food. These kids are turning into teenagers, right? So they want things quick in, quick out, right? So you had companies like McDonald's. You had companies like Wendy's. You see, that's business. Sorry, right? And then you had cars. You're about to graduate from school. You're getting ready to leave school. You want to have a cool ride to go to college. Who wants to drive Mama and Papa's car? No one. So you had companies like Ford. They came around with the Mustang. Chevy came around with the Camaro. All right. So you see what's happening there? Okay. So the guy who actually created the Ford Mustang, he's very famous for saying this following quote. He says that if you understand what the baby boomers need before they know they need it, you make tremendous amount of money. So after a couple of years, he moved over to Chrysler and retired a billionaire. And then he had real estate. All these kids now are adults. Well, they graduated from college. Then they started having their own kids. You start having a family. What do you want to have? A house. So anybody who was in real estate made tremendous amount of money. Anybody who has a little tidbit on what happens in real estate, you know that late 70s, early 80s, people made a lot of money. So all I want to share with you is the same group of people that are now heading into retirement. You see how you understand, right? So here's the question: but can they retire?
No, most of them.
The answer is no. 95% of the 78 million is not going to happen. They don't know how to, right? So that's just one group of people. Then you had Generation X and the millennials. So you're adding another $112 million. But I want you to pay attention to what's happening. If you don't know any millionaires in your circle, if you're not a millionaire yourself, it's because you've missed one of those booms. So now what I want to let you know is this boom is what's going to happen here, this retirement, there's only 15 years left for a lot of those people to either retire or graduate from this earth. Right? So guess what? If you miss your chance now, that's it. You're not going to be a millionaire for a long time. Right? And that's our business. So as you see here, nearly half of all existing financial advisors are 55 and older, right? 1/3 of them will retire. We'll have a shortfall of 200,000 less advisors by 2022. So that means a lot of people are not going to get information on what to do with their money. All right, so now we have a tremendously unique business platform. We have no financial service. You don't need any financial services experience, right? Paralegal, right? You can do this on a part-time basis. No time clock. You don't have to punch in and punch out. I know nurses really don't like that, right? Unlimited earning potential. Why is that important? So how many people would think they have control of their lives? No one else? You don't have control over it? You guys, like, oh, he has something hidden. That's why you don't want to answer the question, huh? Right? So, I do. The person who controls your paycheck controls your life. They control where you sleep. They control your kid's name sometimes, what you eat, everything. What car you drive. Okay? So imagine if you can be paid for the sweat equity that you put out. Leadership development and mentoring business model. A lot of people don't like to go into business because of that small factor of failure. Right? But what if we can actually have somebody coach you to the point where you can actually eventually do it by yourself?
Awesome.
Strength on your side. You have a $650 billion company that backs you up. What else do you need? The power of choice, 200 different companies that we work with within financial services. Business expansion, right? We have this office here. We have my Wall Street office. You know, I was in Florida for about 3 weeks. I just came back last week because there are no offices in South Florida. And guess who's going there? This guy, right? Because there's room to grow. Okay? So the WFG business system. Every successful business has a system. Those that are not successful don't have a system. Everybody knows McDonald's has terrible food, but everybody loves, you know, going to McDonald's. Why? Because everybody's fell in love with the system. You know, the number one is the Big Mac with the fries, right? Everybody knows what to expect. It doesn't change. You can have, you know, and we know that how many mistakes teenagers make. They work at McDonald's. How does that happen? Because there's a system. We also have one in its 6 steps. Equal opportunity for all, a diverse field force, right? We have Asians, we have African Americans, we have Caribbean, we have people from the Middle East. It doesn't matter. Growing the underserved market, nobody's helping middle class. No one is helping the middle class. Who do you think works for the 5%ers?
Middle class.
The middle class, right? Who do you think buys from a lot of those businesses that they have? The middle class. All right. Then you have a lot of people who are on food stamps, on welfare. And what happens to that? Who do you think pays most of those taxes? The middle class. But who's helping the middle class? No one. All right. The company financial needs analysis. These are the 6 steps on how we help people. Affiliated companies, world-class recognition and rewards. And events, why is that important? Because the only time that you're recognized at your jobs is when you're late. Nobody recognizes you for anything, but people actually like that. Even if they act tough, I'll say, man, Sal, good job. He's like, oh, thank you, man. Right? It feels good. Technology and business tools, we have apps, we have websites. The list goes on. Compensation. We get paid 16 different ways. I'm just going to show you 5. You got personal income, very simple. These as an entry level in our company, you can make anywhere between $4,320 to more. You multiply that by 12, that gives you over $50,000 a year. All right. For the breakdown on how we got those numbers, the person who invited you out, as a senior marketing director, if I continue to do the same amount of work as an entry level person, now I'm getting paid double. Because I'm a director, right? So, and last but not least, overrides. How many times at your jobs that they asked you to train the new person? But did they pay you more for that? No. Right? We actually pay you more for that. It's called overrides, right? That's something else that can be explained to you. Then you have expansion income, bonus income, recurring income. So I want to make sure that you guys see this. These are the averages in our company and the highest. We can't show you these numbers unless they're real, just so you know. So as a senior marketing director, as you just heard, newly senior marketing director, from everything you've heard tonight, do you think I'm going to aim for average?
No.
Exactly. Right? But you could be there too. You could be there too. Right? So, you know what's interesting? They say that for a lot of people, right, you will never rise any higher than what you're exposed to. You'll never rise any higher than the experience that you're exposed to. So ultimately, if you've never been exposed to this, it can come off as intimidating. But what if it's regular in our company and we show you how to be part of that? Now everything changes. You think it's a standard to make $1 million instead of like, man, it's a wish, right? So recognition, he says, when you feel good, you do good. So Fredo Barber is actually who runs the Wall Street office and about 12 other offices. She makes $80,000 a month. She's 33 years old. You got Wong Nunez is one of her proteges. He makes $55,000 a month. You got Victor Zayas. He used to be a parole officer. He used to be an airplane mechanic. Mohammed Mukhtar from Pakistan, right? So you have these us awesome business partners. When we first opened an office on Wall Street, Jason has an office in Hackensack, and Jason and Tanya have an office in Hackensack. I mean, we're really tearing it up. Yes, I'm one of the youngest with an office on Wall Street, you know, and it's just good. It's just a great life, you know. So as I asked you in the beginning, these 3 questions: who do you know who can benefit from our message? Can this information help you or your family financially? And are you intrigued by this business? Hey, by the way, if you're completely comfortable making the income that you're making, you're like, man, this is the best income in the world, no problem. Keep doing what you're doing. It's gotten you this far, right? But at the very minimum, let me allow you to look at how we can improve your finances. It's free. Free 99. Right? It's free, so let us look at it. Number 2, if you're the type who's a little bit more ambitious, and you said, man, forget about $1 million. What if you can add another $2,000 to your income right now? Do you think that will make a well of a difference?
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. 4,000? Absolutely. All right. So if you're busy, do this on a part-time basis. Unless you are where you want to be, there's no reason why you should even consider this on a part-time basis. Otherwise, you're lying to yourself. Right? And last but not least, eventually you start making so much money part-time, it allows you to transition full-time in our firm. If I'm making $100,000 here and I'm making $30,000 at Walmart, what makes more sense? To double my efforts and where I'm making $100,000. That's basically what happens. All right? So with that said, that's all I wanted to share with you today. But before I let you go, the one thing I didn't mention to you was this. About 3 times in my life, I almost died. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at a very young age. And on the very 3rd time, where I was the closest to death, the only thing I had to look forward to was my imagination. I could only think of where I could be because I refused to accept where I was. Right? And so from the minute that I left the hospital bed, I said, with every opportunity I get, I'm going to maximize. I don't care what it is. I'm going to maximize. I decided that I'm going to be on the playing field and not on the bleachers. All right? And so ultimately, in our company, what I love is the fact that I'm surrounded by tremendous individuals, the fact that we have fun when we win, and we are encouraging when you don't do so well, right? The fact that I know you become the average of the 5 people you keep around you, all right? Even their income duplicates to you. So if one person is making $80,000 a month, the other person is making $55,000, another person is making over $200,000. Do you think I'm in a pretty good circle? Yes. Right? But I'm not just watching. I work on myself. I work on personal development. I listen to Les Brown. I listened to Eric Thomas, right? And there's a very powerful quote that Les Brown left with me, or as I was reading, his materials and stuff, right? You probably want to write this down. It goes along the lines of, life is a battlefield for territory.
That's right.
And the minute you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want automatically takes over. Life is a battlefield for territory. And the minute that you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want automatically takes over. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful evening. Oh, so they're going to pass out sheets for you to fill out. And, just take a couple 5 minutes. I know you had to listen to boring me. Right? Just take a couple minutes, fill it out. And, go ahead.
Before we hand out the evaluation sheets, you go ahead.
Now, as you guys know, that we just received one of the best information from one of the greatest guy, a personal friend of mine. Well, guys, can we give a round of applause again for you? Now, Yoan, we're such gratitude for you taking the time out of your busy day and definitely coming down and share this information amongst great people. And we definitely want to say that with a big thank you from our office with the event and your name. And we just want to let everybody know that Yoan is not only just a great speaker, but he's also a great leader. And leadership is contagious. And I love to surround myself with people like Yoan. I'm just fully grateful for that. And us as an office, at the Megawatts office, would love to present this plaque to you for you to look up to and remember this special day. And thank you for definitely coming down and sharing this event with me.
Yeah. So I know we are running late, but I'm going to ask you to very quickly just complete. You need a pen? Okay. Thank you. You know what? He'd be sleeping, gets not to go down. Some people might need some coffee tonight. We do have some coffee in the other room.
Which was ice?
I think ice is small.
You don't have to go get one. It's okay.
Training website. Yeah, I think
No.
Okay.
Very entertaining speaker.
Yes, sir.
Good enthusiasm.
Being a great fan. Yeah, I did. I loved it.
Garden State, north and south, my GPS kind of switched. Because I'm in the middle waiting for it to adjust. I go to the right for north to go on, then come back around and go south.
There's a lot of traffic.
But it worked out though. I got 4 appointments. So.
Jersey.
Excuse me, Ray. Is there any the spray? Can you get me some please? I learned I'm right here, over here. Oh, Tanya's over here.
It's just like it's time to make
We're still streaming live right now.
Dan Brown is watching.
Huh?
Dan Brown is watching.
Dan Brown's watching.
Hey, Dan Brown.
It's true. What is it? You said Dan Brown's watching. Dan in New York. Yeah, they said watch for like.
So long, nice meeting you.
You saw us?
Oh, this is streaming live through YouTube. So there's a link that was sent out. It's on Facebook, Twitter, all over. So anybody can tune in and watch. So that's how my mom is home right now with my son, tuning in, watching. She's probably on there right now.
He said he saw.
Yeah. And you could chat too. They could do a chat room right there.
Oh, your finger's in the way. Hi, it's streaming live. He says, "Hey guys."
If you want to answer questions, or do
That's for everybody else to set up their appointment. Yeah, right. Don't you warm it up? You don't warm it up? No, the wings actually taste better when they're actually cold. It's way better. Made like 4 batches. Very good. Thank you.
Made it.
First one is they show.
I'm about to open up a wing franchise. Hey,
He gonna compete against Wingstop.
got these new glasses. Putting up with these guys. They like flash to the beat of the music.
Can you get some video?
So they're actually launching them
Can you get that off of
very soon on Shark Tank. So the inventor, I'm just a partner. That is awesome. It's like the quality glasses or regular? But you know what? It's that it's one of those things that might didn't work so well. It works so well. So if we get the glasses, it's going to be extremely awesome for us to wear at convention. So and even if our channels and the loudness, it will blend to the sounds. It's pretty good. So we'll see. I'm going to call on the phone or on conference call or Skype. I'll pitch it.
I see.
I didn't want to show you.
Huh? There's no name. It's still,
35%. A little bit more this year.
Yeah, I'm following you.
Okay.
And that's all, folks. That's all you get to see. It was awesome. You should have been here. It would have been more awesomer for you. Have a good night.